In this video, let's take a look at creating some revolved surfaces. The first thing I want to note is when you're creating a revolved surface, you're typically dealing with an open profile. If you were dealing with a closed profile, you'd be creating a revolved boss or base, something with solid geometry. If you accidentally or maybe on purpose select the solid feature revolved base when you're trying to revolve an open sketch, you might start to get an issue. For instance, if we select this, we select our open arc, you'll notice that SOLIDWORKS is telling you that the sketch is open. A non-thin revolve feature needs a closed sketch, or we can create a thin wall feature. So if you select yes, we want to close it automatically, we hit OK. What SOLIDWORKS has actually done is it's modified our sketch with a line creating the shortest distance between our open endpoints. This is obviously not what we want. So if we delete this, you'll notice that the sketch has now been edited and there's an underdefined line here. But what we actually want to do is create a surface revolve. So we go to our Surfaces tab, select Revolve Surface, and select our arc profile. Now you'll notice this is automatically trying to revolve it about this axis here. We can create any axis that we want. We don't have to necessarily revolve about the origin. For instance, if we go back to our front plane and simply draw a line, it could be at any angle here. We can now go back and we can create a revolve around this axis of revolution here. And you'll notice that the geometry is very different from the original revolve. So keep in mind that your axis of revolution doesn't necessarily have to be a normal axis through the origin. It can be anything that you create at any point in time. For instance, if we wanted to revolve this line right here, let's go ahead and hide the revolve we just created, hide this sketch. We want to revolve this around a vertical axis that we don't have. We can either create a sketch or we can create some reference geometry. We can select our front plane and our right plane and have SOLIDWORKS create an axis from that geometry. And then we can simply revolve this line around this axis and we can create a cone. So this type of geometry is very easy to create and very useful. And when you're dealing with revolves, you have all the same options you do when you're creating your solid geometry. For instance, if we want to go 15 degrees in one direction, maybe we want to do a little bit more in the other direction, such as 200 degrees. You have all these available options. You also have some great options for your end conditions, such as up to vertex, up to surface, or even offset from surface. This kind of stuff is important when you start dealing with complex geometry. For now, we don't have any complex geometry to work with, but understand that you do have these options whenever you need them. These surfaces give you great options. You can knit them together, you can thicken them, you can use them to cut solids. So it's a very easy way to create geometry that can be used to either create new solids or modify solid geometry.